And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from, let me get this name right, Jania Galia? There's no, it's Gali, Leah? Hansel? But, who asked the question? Who would win in a fight? Azathoth from Cthulhu mythos versus the Brother's Death from the SCP mythos. So, very similar to how I'm not a huge fan of doing the Ninjago stuff. I've, in recent times, not become less fond of doing these types of fights because you're now dealing with individuals who are literally cosmic deities, embodiments of concepts, outer, hyper, whatever verse will be. It's like, it gets so convoluted in terms of power. What I will say is Azathoth is kind of the end-all be-all deity of the Cthulhu mythos. They are omniscient, omnipotent. They kind of more or less rank above everything. Like Cthulhu is a joke compared to this thing. Even like Shima-Gorath and some of the other ones are with nothing compared to this thing at all. It's known as the Lord of all things, the Haunter of the Dark, as everything that exists was created by its thoughts. If I remember correctly from my lore, and I am getting it up right now just so I can confirm this, Azathoth is also known as I believe like a sleeping deity, if I'm not mistaken. Because there's no infinite description of Azathoth because everyone envisions him differently and always changing. Azathoth reproduces asexually. I believe it's stated that if he wakes up, we're gone because we are nothing more than a thought. Like, we are his dream, more or less. Now, I believe that's the lore. I could be thinking of a different god in this, but I believe that's the lore on him. In terms of like abilities, Azathoth has all the standard abilities, reality warping, madness inducement, that all the other ones have, just gone up to the umpteenth degree. He's true and utter omnipotence. He there's no one that ranks higher than him. Like, his offspring include let me get the names right here. Nyarlathotep, the Darkness. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one. Cxaxukl, Sialuk, the Nameless Myth. Yog-Sothoth is his grandson. Shuma-Gorath is his granddaughter. Nug and Yeb are great-grandchildren. Wilbur Whately, great-grandson. Cthulhu is a great-great-grandson, and so is Sathagora. The point is, this is a being that's beyond our comprehension. It's very similar in some ways to the Brother's Death. Now, the Brother's Death are they're not necessarily abstract, although they do represent an abstract. The Brother's Death literally represent the three forms of death: big death, little death, and I can't remember what the other one was. They are represented by these three individuals here, which this image you can find on the Villains Wiki. I couldn't find who did the image, so I don't want anyone to think I'm ripping someone off. If I could have found the name of the person, I would have put it on there. But in essence, they are among some of the biggest bads in the SCP mythos. They have complete and utter control over death. They're nigh omniscient, nigh omnipresent, nigh everything. And they threaten the whole of reality. The question when dealing with characters like this is very simple, or very simply, what is the level of power we're dealing with? Who has the greater level of power? And that is the winner to your answer, or the winner to your answer, the answer to your question, the winner. And honestly, when looking up their abilities, something really stuck out to me. Two things stuck out to me. One, Azathoth is just straight out immortal. You can't kill him in a conventional sense. So just because your brother's death, you are like the embodiment of death, does not mean you can just kill an immortal. There's a reason they're immortal. You aren't just able to kill something like that. You got to somehow work around their immortality. But even if we were to say theoretically that they had that ability, which they might, it kind of is a moot point because where it's described as they're nigh omniscient, omnipotent, all that, Azathoth actually is omnipotent, omniscient, all that. Like, whereas 1 is nigh, or 2, 3 is nigh, he is. And I think that's a very big contrast when you're talking about individuals of this kind of power levels. Talking about individuals that break concepts of multiverse, that can even break like the fourth wall concept, the concepts of the reader and all that. So like you're talking about individuals who literally shatter the fabric of their realities multiple times over. So saying who theoretically wins, it becomes a bit of a crapshoot because there's arguments on both sides of the fence. And look, I'll say this too. Just whoever I say I think wins, which you can kind of guess who I think wins, that's just my opinion based on what I found. Other individuals who are far more well versed in their lores could easily have a different opinion than me, and that's perfectly fine. This is not one of those arguments I die on the hill for. The Goku versus Superman one is one I put a lot more effort into my opinion on versus something like this where I'm like, I'm not huge on. I like the SCP Foundation. Cthulhu Mythos is fun, but I'm not a expert on it. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a diehard fan is what I'm trying to get at. So ultimately, I think because Azathoth is described as being truly omniscient, straight out immortal, and having all the abilities and then some of all these Cthulhu beings, these elder gods, I think that it does supersede and outrank the Brothers' Death, who are no slouches. Let's be very clear. These are also multiversal threats, if not even beyond. They are the embodiment and can completely control all of death itself. So I really don't think it comes down to. Let me rephrase that. I really don't think there's anything wrong with believing that they win as well. Personally, I lean towards Azathoth, but this is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.